Hi everyone. Today, I'm going to share the story of Kwong and Linda. Kwong bought his first group of bamboo rats and carefully managed every detail from the cages and food to their living environment, with Linda always by his side supporting him. But does taking care of these bamboo rats really change their lives? And the most special part, all their hard work doesn't just bring joy and income. It also lays the foundation for the life of their future child. So the baby will be born into a family full of love, responsibility, and hope. In today's video, you'll follow every step of Kwong and Linda caring for the bamboo rats, overcoming challenges, and see how this farming project has truly changed their lives. Make sure to watch until the end to find out if all their efforts lead to a happy ending for both them and their future child. After visiting the rare fish farm, Kwong and the police started planning to raise bamboo rats, a rare animal that requires careful technique and the right environment. They stood in front of the cage layout, measuring the space for each enclosure to make sure the rats had enough room to move around while still making it easy to feed them and monitor their health. The officer asked questions from time to time about the stocking density, and Kwong explained that they had to avoid overcrowding to reduce stress and ensure the animals' health and productivity. They discussed where to get the breeding stock, and Kwong pointed out where to buy them the prices and how to select healthy animals to save time and effort in caring for them. The officer suggested using spring water to create a more natural environment, and Kwong agreed. With natural water, the rats will grow better and produce more consistently. They organized the cages, logically pairing 2 enclosures for each group, and designed walkways that made care easy while keeping the animals safe and the area clean. Kwong and the officer mapped out a detailed plan from preparing the cages and selecting the stock to placing the rats, feeding, and regular care. Kwong emphasized starting with just a few rats to test things, adjust the layout and food, and only then expand to the entire farm. The officer reminded him to make a proper initial investment, ensuring the cages were sturdy, well ventilated, and clean. Before leaving, they finalized a list of materials, the number of animals, and the care methods. Kwong felt excited seeing such a well-organized plan, learning while putting practical experience into action. On the way back, he sighed, but was filled with determination, understanding that raising bamboo rats successfully would require capital land, technical knowledge, patience, and careful monitoring of each animal, both to protect their health and to make the operation economically effective. After finalizing the detailed plan for raising bamboo rats, Kwong didn't waste any time and quickly prepared to bring 2 of them to Linda's house. He called her excitedly. "Hey, I got 2 bamboo rats. I'm bringing them over for you to see." But Linda wasn't home, so Kwong left the message and continued with his preparations. He started setting up the cage, arranging sturdy boards and wire to create separate compartments, making sure each rat had enough space to live and move around comfortably. He carefully monitored the environment, making sure it wasn't too hot or too cramped, since the living conditions directly affect the health of these rare animals. After just a few hours, the cage was ready. As Kwong checked every corner, Linda arrived home. Together, they stood in front of the cage, their eyes filled with excitement. They watched the bamboo rats for a long time, fascinated by how they moved, hopped and explored their new environment. "They're so cute," Linda exclaimed, a big smile on her face. Kwong nodded, his eyes lighting up. "They're really smart and adapt quickly. We're lucky to have such healthy ones." The two of them spent time observing, letting the rats try sugarcane grass and other foods. They paid attention to every reaction and movement to ensure the animals were comfortable and safe. These moments made Kwong and Linda lose track of time, completely absorbed in watching the rats explore the cage, nibble on food, and run around. Their excitement and joy were clear as they learned firsthand how to care for the animals. After a while, Kwong gently placed each rat into its designated compartment. He carefully checked all the doors to make sure none could escape. Linda stood beside him, smiling, watching the rats gradually get used to their new space. They understood that this initial care was just as important as preparing the cage because it directly affects the rats' health and habits. Kwong and Linda continued to observe, noting how the rats ate, moved, and interacted with their environment. They gave them small portions of food, watching how they chewed and enjoyed sugar cane and grass, and noting each reaction. The rats seemed happy, nibbling carefully and running all over the cage, keeping both of them smiling. The experience of learning while enjoying caring for these rare animals made them even more determined to invest their time and energy in this project. Throughout the afternoon, they were completely absorbed, not just having fun, but also collecting valuable information: which foods the rats preferred, which parts of the cage they frequented, and the timing of their rest and activity. Kwong took notes on every detail to adjust their care methods, while Linda expressed her joy. "Watching them run around the cage makes me so happy. They're so smart and adorable." Finally, once everything was settled, Kwong and Linda let the rats move freely within the cage, observing them eat, play, and explore. They realized that caring for these rare animals wasn't just an economic venture, it was also a rewarding experience that taught patience, attention to detail, and responsibility. The afternoon ended with both of them feeling satisfied and excited about what they had accomplished, ready for the next steps in raising their bamboo rats. Once everything was settled, Kwong and Linda sat down beside the bamboo rat cage, their eyes following each little animal as they settled into their compartments. The bamboo rats moved gracefully, hopping from one section to another, filling the space around them with life and energy. Kwong took a deep breath, feeling a sense of joy wash over him as he realized that months of effort were finally starting to pay off. Linda smiled, her hands gently brushing the sturdy mesh, her eyes sparkling with excitement and pride. They sat in quiet observation, but it wasn't an empty silence. It was a thoughtful calm. Every detail of the cage, from the size of each compartment and the convenient pathways for care to the natural water source and surrounding plants, reminded them of the careful planning, small initial experiments, and continuous adjustments that had made the system run smoothly. Kwong turned to Linda and whispered, "Seeing them like this makes all the effort feel worth it." Linda nodded, her eyes bright. "Absolutely. And it's more than just money. We've learned patience, careful observation, and attentive care. This really has been a valuable experience." They realized that raising bamboo rats wasn't just about economic value. It was also a lesson in responsibility and persistence. Every healthy, well-fed, and thriving rat was the result of careful preparation and attentive care. Kwong thought back to the early days, calculating each compartment, planning the density testing food, and adjusting the environment. All of it had now paid off. The moment passed slowly, yet it was full of emotion. Kwong and Linda sat together, noticing every small movement of the rats, every soft sound coming from the cage, and feeling the joy spreading through their hearts. They knew that with careful preparation, patience, and dedicated care, the Bamboo Rat Project would continue to grow sustainably, providing not only a stable income, but also a simple, profound happiness from caring for these rare animals they cherished.